8% higher a year ago.
It's sometimes the more obscure crops that are brushed aside amid all of the attention given to big business cash crops such as corn, wheat, and soybeans. But I found a cropping operation recently that shows relative obscurity for what it can be, a corner on the market and profits. We talk a lot about diversified agriculture. Well, you can't get much more diversified than this. These are ornamental grasses, and these big grasses are part of a nursery that has become a worldwide business.
The facts are that the herbaceous plant business, the perennial business, and our specialty, the grasses, have really skyrocketed. I think in comparison to maybe pure agriculture, what we are doing is probably very profitable. We work very hard at it, but we're expanding rapidly. So if you're expanding, that means you're profitable. And we have been expanding. We have been doubling our business over the last 4 years.
How many types do you actually have?
We have at least 350 varieties here. Our grasses vary from an inch tall that come from Greenland to 18 to 20 feet tall that are naturalized on the Gulf Coast of this country. Those are our largest grasses. They are the miscanthus, or the silver grasses, originated in China. And as you can see, they vary tremendously in height. And you can also see some variegation, silver variegation here. This one is called Silver Arrow. It's very beautiful if you have it on the edge of the water, and it can reflect on the water.
How tall can these get?
The miscanthus average through 8 to 10 feet. There are some varieties, the floridulus is about 12 foot in decent growing conditions.
Mr. Blumel was born in Czechoslovakia and was trained in Switzerland. He came to the U.S. in 1960. Along with the grasses, he sells rushes, sedges, perennials, bamboos, and ferns. Zoos are big customers, as are golf courses and local governments for public parks. The grasses are also used for erosion control.
This grass here is a pennisetum, or fountain grass, and we have several varieties of fountain grass. One is starting to bloom already in July, and this particular variety, you can see it's November and it's still in full bloom. Its particular beauty is the dark green foliage in summertime, and then those dark brown or almost black foxtails.
Looking ahead, Blumel says there is room for expansion in this business, and he says U.S. growers can supply much of the domestic demand for plants and grasses. He also says that for him, this form of agriculture is the way to go.
There's so much room to expand. We are importing still today a lot of plant material from Europe. And with all the fabulous equipment we have here, the soil condition, the technology, I don't know why we should spend money bringing plants in from, for instance, from the Netherlands. I think it's a boy's dream to be in general agriculture, but when you grow up, you have to make ends meet. And I love to sit on the plow and plow, but I also like to handle a lot of plant material. I'm very fascinated, from the scientific side of our profession. So it's more than just a job. For me, that's my life.
And somebody else who really made a life out of his career occupation is Cesar Chavez, a name out of the past. Ever wonder what he's been up to?
Yes, and I'll bet you're going to tell me a week from today.
Indeed. We are going to be talking to Cesar Chavez. He's going to be stopping by our studios next week. We'll have an interview with him, and we'll find out what he's been doing since the migrant worker days, the great boycotts of the West many years ago.
Yeah, that's one thing that really made an impact. I can remember that from years ago, and it's interesting.